the Busy Women's System to find time to plan your life. Hey, my dear, I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. What I know for most of us, me included, is that as women leaders, we often hit a point in our career where we feel in over our heads and wondering if we have to take what it takes to lead. In my courses and in my coaching and in my book, I give you both the inner tools and the outer tools to help you restore that lost confidence so that you, my dear, can thrive in both your leadership and life. I'm going to pop on over and share this into my Confident Women Leaders group while I'm doing that. What I want to know is, are you one of those busy leaders? Busy women who are struggling to get it all on track? If you are one of those busy women, just put yes in the chat box while I am trying to coordinate Facebook on my phone to share this into the Confident Women Leaders group. Confident Women Leaders group is, 2 seconds, Confident Women Leaders group posted. It's a group for women leaders who want to grow their leadership, but also want to do that in the context of other women who are also struggling maybe with their leadership and wanting to grow and develop themselves and lean into a group of women who are supportive, caring, and engaged. That's what Confident Women Leaders Group is all about. So the link is up in the notes, as well as always there's a guide sheet. There's a link for that too. Before we get into the Busy Woman's System for planning her life, I want to let you know that today's session is brought to you by my course, Blueprint for Change, which is now open. Blueprint for Change is for discontent women leaders who long for a different experience of leadership and life. Maybe that's you. When you enroll in the course, and remember, enrollment's now open, myblueprintforchange.com, what you discover is that you learn to sort of get both the process and the motivation to take those necessary steps to get you out of survival mode. And it's when you start creating your blueprint, your strategy, that you start to strategically, purposefully, on purpose, change the direction of your life. And that's, my dear, when you move from surviving to thriving. So make sure if that's something you're interested in, you head on over to myblueprintforchange.com and enroll now. The Busy Woman's System for planning her life. So what I want to first get rid of my first page of my notes is talk about those three things. First, you are a very busy lady. Let's not lie about that. You are swamped. There are more things on your to-do list than you could ever get done in a day. Give me a thumbs up if you agree with this. There are meetings, emails, people you have to talk to, and you're just busy. That's just in your work life. Add to that your personal life, and you've got kids to run here or there, boards that you sit on, groceries to grab, laundry to do, squeeze in maybe a workout if you could maybe get that done. I mean, you're just a busy woman. But you also know that, and we've been talking about this for weeks, there are some things that maybe about that business, about the rest of your life that you're not so happy about, and you do want to change things up. You do want to shift from that survival mode place to start getting into more of a place where you're thriving. And you know, if you keep coming back to these sessions week after week, that in order to do that, you need to develop a plan. You need to be strategic about it. You can't just wait for something to change. That's called victim. That's sort of being that martyr and saying, oh my God, nothing's ever going to change. And if only people would do things differently. And if it weren't for the interruptions, and it's just that it's contract time, and oh my God, we're in this other busy time. That's victim mode. Nothing's going to change if you stay there. If you want to see things change, you have to create your plan. And so we're going to talk about what's the process that you need to do to create that plan today. So I want to first introduce you to Becky. Becky is an ED of a nonprofit, and she loves her job. At least that's what she keeps trying to tell herself. And she really does. It's just that there's so much going on in a day that she struggles. She's overwhelmed with all of the administrative duties, and you know what this is like, especially if you're in a leadership position. And even if you're not in an official leadership position, you know what it's like. There's the emails, and there's the meetings, and there's the reports, and all of that stuff that you have to fill out. Becky's swamped by that. And in fact, it sometimes gets in the way of her doing some of those things that she really wants to do, like going and talking to Caroline about Caroline's newly diagnosis of cancer. She just hasn't got a chance to go talk to Caroline yet. She meant to, she's been meaning to, and she just can't seem to make the time to get there. What else can I tell you about Becky? Becky is also really determined to get out of the office by 4:30 every day, but rarely does. And in truth, it's when she stays later that she gets her best work done. I mean, that's when everybody else is gone, right? Or when she comes in early in the morning before everybody else shows up, or when she stays up after her husband and kids have gone to bed, because that's when she's got the quiet and the peace to get some of that stuff done. What else about Becky? Becky really works hard to keep on track with her work-life kind of balance and her self-care stuff. She goes to the gym some weeks, and just when she starts getting on track and heading to the gym on a regular basis, all hell breaks loose at work, and she's on that slippery slope, and it's been 2 or 3 weeks since she's gone to the gym. What else? Oh, did I tell you? Becky loves her job. It's just that she doesn't know how to do it necessarily. You know, she's got this team and she really wants them to excel. And yet some days she just feels like she's struggling to get them motivated. She can't seem to figure out how to get them to do what they're supposed to do or to live into their potential. And to top it all off, last week, Becky had one of those conversations with Susan. Now, you know Susan. Susan, you probably have a Susan in your life. We all have Susans in our lives. Susan is one of those strong personality types. And that conversation did not go quite the way Becky wanted to. And once again, Becky, is beating herself up because she's not able to stand up to Susan, and it's driving her nuts. And so all of this is taking its toll on Becky. Sound familiar to you? Okay. So if you were going to give Becky some advice, Becky knows, just like you, it's time to stop and plan her life. She knows she needs to step back and she needs to do some things differently because she can't keep doing this, right? So what would you tell Becky? Would you tell Becky, you just need to go take some training on leadership? There's this really good leadership course. If you would learn how to communicate with your staff better, manage conflict better, you would be much better at doing your job. That's one option. Maybe you would tell Becky that she needs to up her self-confidence, and maybe she should read Kathy Archer's book, Mastering Confidence, and work through the course. Maybe that would help Becky. Or maybe you would tell Becky, you just need to deal with self-care. Like, you need to start taking care of yourself better, my dear. You would feel much better if you were taking care of yourself. Or would you hand Becky that time managed book and say, Becky, you need to manage your priorities better? Which of those options would you tell Becky? I mean, she's struggling with all of those things, right? She's struggling with time management. She's struggling with self-care. She is struggling with leading, and she's struggling with her lack of confidence. Where should she start? It's not an easy answer, is it? And that's the truth about where you're probably at too. Let me know if you know a Becky in your life, or if you are a Becky. Put a yes, I know Becky in the comments, or I am Becky in the comments, or Becky sounds, vaguely familiar in the comments. Let me know if any of that registered for you. I certainly know that I have been Becky a zillion times in my life, and I still continue to be Becky at different points in my life. I'm struggling with overwhelm 1 minute. I'm lacking confidence the next. I'm not sure I can lead a third time. And the fourth time, I am just like swamped again. And so we have to really start to look at that. And that's why it's so incredibly important that you stop and figure out your plan for making change. There is no cookie cutter plan for how you balance leadership and life. And if you want to excel in your leadership, if you really want to be that incredible leader, you need to kind of figure some of this out. If you keep, just trying to keep your head above water, just trying to stay afloat, sort of stuck in that survival mode, you're not going to be the best leader you can be. You're not going to be the best mom or wife you can be. You're not going to be the best community member, and you're sure not going to feel good about yourself on a day-to-day basis. If you want to have more of that joy, more of that peace, more of those days where you go, man, I love my job and I feel like I'm doing it good, you need to step back and create your plan for how you're going to make that happen. And it's not really that hard. So I'm going to give you the 3 things that you need to do to create your plan. let me flip papers here again. So here's the system. This is the system for creating your plan. 3 simple steps. 1, choose 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day where you're going to sit down and work on developing your plan, right? 15 minutes a day where you are going to work on figuring out your specific, remember, this isn't a cookie cutter plan, your specific strategy. Am I going to start with self-care? Am I going to start with leadership? Do I need to figure out my self-confidence, or do I need to figure out time management, right? You need to figure out where it is that you're at, and it's maybe not even one of those 4 things. Maybe it's something incredibly different. So that's step 1. Pick 15 minutes a day. Now, I would suggest you either pick first thing in the morning or the end of the day. You can pick middle of the day if that works for you. But often what happens is we have less control over what happens in the middle of our day, and we have more control of what happens first thing in the morning or at the end of our day. We call those our bookends. And if we can bookend our day in the right way, that's where we start to feel like we have more control over our days. If you want to exercise more, put it in first thing. If you want to start developing that gratitude practice, either put it in first thing or at the end of the day. When you start to bookend your day with the habits and the things that you want to get done, you'll find, and bookend both your full day and your work day as well. Get the stuff done at the beginning of the day and tidy it up at the end of the day. That's a little side note. Okay, so the system to create your plan. First thing, pick 15 minutes. Number 2, lock that 15 minutes in. Like, I mean, lock it down tight. Schedule it into your phone or into your calendar so that you know exactly when it's going to happen, and put an alarm on your phone when that time is going to come up. So make sure that, 5 minutes before or something, you're reminded, oh yeah, I got to go sit down and do my planning for 15 minutes. And then third thing is to communicate that to everyone around you. This is an appointment. There's nothing going to happen in this time. I'm committed to this 15 minutes. So that's number 2. First one, choose 15 minutes. Number 2, lock it in. And then third one is commit to that for 3 weeks. Yes, 3 weeks. I know you're shaking your head right now going, Kathy, that will never work. I cannot commit 15 minutes a day for 3 weeks. I don't even, know where I'd find 15 minutes a day, let alone commit to it for 3 weeks. So let me tell you a couple things. 1, if you don't change your life, it's not going to change. And if you don't plan your life, somebody else will plan your life. That's it. They will, the business, the organization that you're in will dictate your schedule. You will be frantically following everybody else's desires. Your email will be your priority list, your to-do list. If you don't plan your day and how you're going to experience leadership in life, somebody else will. And until you take responsibility, then it's not going to happen. So you really, really, really need to start to create that. If you have any questions, let me know. But as you're thinking about that, what I want you to think about is this. If you're struggling to think about, I don't know how I would commit 15 minutes a day for 3 weeks, Kathy, I want to ask you this. If your boss said to you, or your board, or your funder, or whoever controls your day, or thinks they do, or you let them, however you want to perceive that, if they came to you and said, you now need to have this 15-minute meeting every single day with your team, and you need to fill this form out during that time, and you have to do it, your job is on the line, the contract's on the line, we won't get the funding, we'll lose whatever, would you make the 15 minutes? Yeah, you would, because it's a requirement. If there was suddenly a detour in your road, on your trip to work every day, permanent detour, or maybe a 3-week detour, how would you get around that? Would you get up 15 minutes earlier? Would you eliminate your scrolling through Facebook for 15 minutes? Would you forego that second cup of coffee? Perhaps. If the doctor called you tomorrow and said, we have your test results back, we need you to come into the office for 15 minutes. Would you make that appointment? What if it was your child's teacher? If you got to the point where your marriage was falling apart, would you make the time for counseling appointments? Or if it got to the point where your marriage had already fallen apart, Would you find the time to schedule an appointment with a divorce lawyer? If your dad was dying, would you find the time to go see him? Or what if your child died and you had to go to their funeral? You would make the time. Point made? We choose how we spend our time. There are only 24 hours in a day. All of us have the exact same 24 hours. What we choose to do with that time is up to us. How we choose, and we all have downtime. There is no way that you do not have some downtime or wiggle time or movement time. If you are wanting a different experience of life, commit to 15 minutes a day. And why I'm saying for 3 weeks is this. Go back to Becky's story. It's not a simple, quick fix. If it was, we would have done this already. It's not like I just need to go to the gym more often. I just need to set better boundaries. I just need to get better at dealing with conflict. It's not that simple. If it were, we would all have this wonderful life. It takes that time. We've been talking about this for week after week after week on these. You have to do that inner work. Why is it that Susan pushes your buttons? What is it? What's the belief you have about yourself? What's the story that you've made up? What are the values you attach to working hard? What is it that you have sort of drilled into your head about the way you have to lead? What's your priorities? You have to do that inner work, both to figure out where you are and where you want to be as well. And if you haven't stopped to take that time to figure out where am I really and where am I going really, you're not going to be able to do that plan in the middle. And remember, that plan in the middle has 2 components. Well, lots of components actually. That plan in the middle is the step by step by step by step things I need to do to get there. But it's also, what am I going to do when I hit those bumps, humps, and roadblocks in the middle? Because we all know those are going to hit us. If you say, I need to develop more work-life balance, I'm going to leave at 4:30 at least 3 days a week, and I'm committed to that. And all of a sudden, something goes wrong in one of your programs, and there's a crisis, and you need to respond to that. Then, what are you going to do about leaving at 4:30 that day? How are you going to handle that then? What about when you get sick and you're suddenly just barely hanging on and you're committed to going to the gym every day? How do you deal with that? What about when that new staff comes to you and she says, things aren't going so well. You haven't given me my job description yet. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I feel like, I'm floundering and maybe this isn't the right place for me. And you're like, no, wait a minute. I promise you I'll get you your job description. Just hold on. I've been meaning to get to it for a while. And all of a sudden you're backpedaling and then somebody else comes in and says, we really need you to do this now. And you get the reminder that you have a meeting. Holy Hannah banana. What are you going to do then? Because that's what happens to us. Life happens to us. And if you don't create your plan for figuring out what you're going to do when all of those humps and bumps hit, your plan isn't going to work. That's why you need to spend the 3 weeks working on this. 15 minutes a day. If you got more than 15 minutes, be my guest and spend more. But you need to sit down and go, where am I really? What's going on for me really? What's the real challenge I'm struggling with? Where is it that I want to be? And if you're struggling with any of this, make sure you go back to the last few weeks of all of the sessions I've been doing. Go back to the blogs. You can find them all there, silverrivercoaching.com. Blog, you'll find the last of them, and each of them comes with guide sheets. There are tons of worksheets that you can do. But if you really want that process to go through this, if you really want somebody to walk you through 3 weeks or the system, then make sure you check out Blueprint for Change, because that's what it is. It gives you the step-by-step process to go through. Where am I really now? Worksheets and videos to guide you through that. What are my values? What's important to me? What am I afraid of in terms of moving forward? Where is it that I really want to be? What are some of the goals I want to develop? How do I develop those goals? One of the things that we often sort of miss is these are the goals that I want. I want to, go back to school and work in my degree. Great. What are the habits you need to create to get there? What's the mindsets that you have to get there? Those are the things that you need to establish so that you can get through that messy middle. Because again, the messy middle is going to show up, no doubt about it. As I'm talking, please ask any questions, any clarification that you need, let me know. But again, Blueprint for Change walks you through that process. And it gives you those insights. It gives you that deeper dive into what is it that's going to really, truly help me this time get to where it is I want to go. Because that's that inner work. That's that developing your plan and then having the courage, the confidence that that plan is going to get you where you want to go, because it's going to also help you get through those humps and bumps and roadblocks that hit you. So remember, here's the 3 things you as a busy woman need to do to pause to create that plan. 1, schedule 15 minutes in a day, right? Find that time block of 15 minutes that you can commit to for 3 weeks, whether that's in the morning, in the afternoon, or maybe it's lunchtime, whatever, but find a time block that you can commit to for 15 minutes. Then lock it in, write it literally in your calendar as any other appointment. Tell everybody around you, this is, my planning time. You cannot talk to me then. You cannot interrupt me then. You cannot come see me then. And then set your timer so that you know it's time to go do that. When you commit to doing those 3 steps and you commit to doing that for 3 weeks, you'll start to create your plan. Now, if you don't want to make those mistakes as you work through that plan, make sure you go grab in the notes, I have the guide sheet for this week. It's the same one we've been using for the last 3 weeks because I really, 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 really want you to not make mistakes as you're moving through this plan. So these are the 5 missteps that women often make when they create a plan to get out of survival mode, and then the corrective action. So if you want to make sure that you're not making these mistakes, you want to create your plan that's actually going to work, but then you're like, okay, so what do I do if I don't make that mistake? That guide will get you that. So the link is in the notes. Grab the guide sheet. Start to create your plan. Really commit to making those changes in your life. It's when you commit to pausing for 15 minutes a day, creating your unique plan. Remember, your plan is unique. It's not the same as Becky's. It's not the same as your coworkers or anybody else's. It's not the same as mine. We all have our unique plan. When you commit to spending 15 minutes a day, creating your unique plan to get a handle on where you are, where you want to be, and how you're going to get there, you, my dear, will move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Go make the rest of your day awesome.